Troy Hurd here with Cedar Creek Dulcimers again, and I want to introduce you to the newest instrument in our line of chord sticks. We call it the Dobro. It's our poor man's version of a Dobro. Now, if you've ever seen a Dobro up close, or even a steel guitar, the reason why the strings are so high is because you don't actually push the string to the fret like a regular fretted instrument. Your slide bar is actually your fret. So instead of pushing the string down to the fret, you put the fret basically on the strings. Now, since it is a regular Dobro slide bar, it's a pretty heavy bar, so it doesn't even take much pressure. In other words, you don't want to push all the way down because you don't have to worry about doing that. Just apply enough pressure to where it makes a good clear sound to it. Now, the neat thing about, since we're not limited to just the notes where those frets are located at, we not only have all of those notes, but we got all the notes in between as well too. So when we want to make a chord, we're going to lay the bar right across the appropriate chord. Now, if I'll let John kind of zero in so you can see pretty good right there. We go ahead and we write down the names of the chords, so you know that when you want a C chord, you're going to lay your bar across where it says C. You want a D chord, you're going to lay your bar across where it says D, and so forth. Now, what you'll want to do too is, since the bar is your fret, you'll want to lay the bar basically right across the top of the fret. So instead of being right behind it like you normally would if you've played a fretted instrument before, you'll actually want to put the bar right over the top of the fret to get your truest sound. And your ear is going to let you know that as well too. You know, if you're a little flat or something, your ear is going to let you know. But like I say, since you're not limited to just those chords, we not only have all of our regular chords, but then we got everything in between as well too. So I always say you look for excuses to slide. So when you want to start off on a C chord, you don't just start on a C chord. You start a little bit below it and work your way up into it. So you look for excuses to slide to get that extra sound in there. And that's the uniqueness of a slide instrument like the Dobro. Basically, that's all it is. It's just your bar chords, you know, just straight bar chords using your slide. And like I say, and then the chords are marked, so you don't even have to wonder where C and D is. Now, the major chords are the ones I marked because that's the ones we're going to use most often. But if you do need a sharp or a flat, the space, like for example, if we want a C sharp chord, the space right above C would be our C sharp chord. And if we need a flat, the space right below that chord would be the flat. So for example, if you need a B flat chord, the space right below B would be your B flat chord, for example, right there. Now, as far as for strumming goes on your chord stick, basically what you can do, one or two things. I mean, if you want to, if a person is used to using finger picks, like with a banjo or even a guitar or anything like that, or even a dobro for that matter, you can use the finger picks like a dobro. Not necessary on the Dobro though. I mean, you can get neat picking effects just by using your straight flat pick. Now you can either just strum straight across like you would normally on the chord stick or anything, or doing strumming patterns just like you would on the chord stick or a guitar or anything. But if you want little picking feel to your strum, and like me, you're not that coordinated for using your fingers for picking, you can use your flat pick to get you some picking styles out of it too. So instead of just strumming, basically just pick around on the strings. And since they all make the same chord, it really doesn't even matter which strings you're picking on them. So it's real easy to get picking styles on the Dobro without, you know, having to use the finger picks and all. But if you're, you know, got that skill level, go ahead and do it, of course. You know, anything that sounds good to you. Well, basically, the way to hold the Dobro. Now, the Dobro will come with a strap on it. Now, one or two things. You could either put the strap around your shoulders and stand up and play it like some Dobro players do. Or, when you sit down, you can put the strap around your waist, and that'll hold your instrument in place while you're playing it, and a lot of Dobro players do that as well. We got it on this playing stand, you know, right now, mainly to make it a little easier for filming purposes, so I'm not moving it around and giving John a hard time trying to keep focused in on me right here. And again, if that's a way a person wants to play it, you definitely can. You can play it down on a stand as well, too. They work great for that, or even on a table for that matter. Now, as far as for playing songs, if you would like to, there's a lesson that's on the chord stick. Now, on the chord stick lesson, we play Amazing Grace as the song I teach you how to play. And so if you would like to play a song on your Dobro, you can go to that chord stick demonstration, and basically you can do all the very same things you would on the chord stick, except, you know, instead of putting your finger down when I call out a C chord, you know, you'll put the bar down instead. And just to let you know, the 3 chords you're going to need for playing along with that on Amazing Grace is the G chord, which, remember, the G chord is nothing but strumming open. Now, you do have that low G, which is the one strumming open, and if you notice, you do have another higher G up here as well, too. Now, you can do either one that you would want to, but probably most of the time you'd want to do that low G, you know, for playing open. The next chord you're going to need is a C chord, so we would lay the bar across the C and strum. Then we're going to go back to a G chord again. Now the D chord, and then back to the G chord again. And so that's the 3 chords you'll need to know to play along with that song. One more thing real quick, holding that Dobro bar. Now the reason why the Dobro bar has these little ridges in it is because when you're playing a real Dobro, the strings, well, not only are there more strings, but they're a lot heavier gauge. So if you was just to take that bar like I was doing on here and slide it around like this, you would hear all kinds of screechy string noises. So they designed the Dobro bar to allow you to hang on to the bar and then drag your fingers behind it to get rid of all them little, you know, screechy string sounds. Well, you can learn to use your Dobro bar that way on your Dobro as well if you want, but it's not necessary because with those lighter gauge strings and the less strings we have, you know, you're just fine doing it that way. So, I mean, if you want to learn how to hold it the proper way, you sure can. Not necessary, though. Now, one reason that leaves you open for it, which is kind of nice, though, if you do hold it just in a simpler fashion like this. As I said before, all your major chords, even including sharps and flats, are just the bar across. But what if you need a minor chord? Well, what it is for a minor chord, real simple as well too. And whatever chord you're on, the only string that needs to change to make a minor chord is this second little string right here. And so what it is, it needs to be one note down. So that's what's kind of neat about it. If you are holding the bar like this and you need a minor, you can just drop that one, you know, drop your finger down over here to chord that one note to make it minor. So whatever chord you're on, if you want to turn it into a minor chord, just push that one string down right behind the fret right behind on that second string right there. So if you're playing out of a book and it says F sharp minor and you think, how would I do an F sharp minor? Just go to your F sharp chord, drop that one down below it, and you got an F sharp minor chord right there. So that even makes your minor chords even awful easy to do. Now, tuning your Dobro is going to be exactly as tuning your 4-string chord stick. So if you want to have a little more detail on that, you can go, once again, when you're watching the chord stick lesson, you can follow along on tuning the 4-string chord stick. But just to let you know for right now, if you want to tune your Dobro up, your lowest string is tuned to a D. Your next string will be a G. Then we have a B, as in boy, and D, as in dog. So we got low D, G, B, and a high D. Now we have another lesson on using an electronic tuner, and if you have trouble hearing it with your ear, the electronic tuners take all the guesswork out of tuning. So if you would like to learn more about that, you can go to using an electronic tuner lesson to show you how those work. Otherwise, you can just use another instrument to tune to. The nice thing about them is like with the dulcimers or the other chord sticks, with the light gauge strings and the lower number of strings than say a guitar has or a mandolin, they're not under near the tension like those other instruments, so they do hold their tune real nicely. Now, one more thing I want to mention too. A lot of times on dobros or steel guitars, they don't even use real frets. And the reason is because you don't use them. So a lot of times they'll just put paint lines or make markers just so you know where you need to stop with your bar. Now the reason why we put the real frets on there though is because if you want to, and I'll let John get in where he can get a shot, if you noticed how we put these deeper grooves down into this little piece we call the nut up at the top, basically it's a string guide is what that is. Well, if you loosen your strings, you can drop those down in those deeper grooves. So instead of your strings resting up high to accommodate the slide bar, now your strings would be down there low, just like on a regular chord stick. So now instead of that dobro sound, you could actually hold it upright, and then just like the 4-string chord stick, and get a little more of a banjo sound out of it that way. So we actually made the Dobro to where it could actually play either version, whether you want to play it slide version or drop those strings down and hold it up and play 1-finger chords just like on the 4-string chord stick. Well, basically that's all there is to the Dobro. Not a real complicated instrument whatsoever, and there's no, definitely, there's no finger dexterity, anything involved with it. You don't have to have a toughened up finger, anything like that. Whatever chord you want to play, you just put the bar right over the top of it, like so. But anyway, have a lot of fun picking and grinning on your Dobro, and like I say, go back and watch the chord stick lessons if you would like to learn how to play your first song on the Dobro. Have fun.